I still remember that night like it's carved into my mind. The sound of my keys hitting the counter. The faint hum of the dishwasher. The smell of lavender from the candle she always lit when she wanted the house to feel calm. I'd worked late again, though not by choice. My boss had dropped a last-minute project on me, and I knew Sarah wouldn't be happy. When I pushed open our bedroom door, I expected the usual quiet annoyance or maybe her pretending to sleep. Instead, I froze. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, fully dressed, phone clutched in her hand. The second she saw me, her face changed, panic pure and sharp, like I'd caught her mid-rhyme. "Hey," I said softly, confused. "You okay?" She blinked, forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Yeah, just scrolling." "You scared me." But she wasn't scrolling. Her thumb wasn't moving. The screen was black. I stood there for a second too long, feeling the space between us twist. She turned her phone face down on the blanket. I wanted to ask what she'd been looking at, but something in me stopped. We'd been married 7 years. I knew when she was lying. I also knew when pushing too hard would only make her retreat further. So, I changed clothes, brushed my teeth, and slid into bed beside her. She rolled away, pretending to sleep again. Only this time, her breathing was uneven. Quick, I stared at the ceiling and realized how long it had been since she'd reached for me first. The next morning, she acted normal. Coffee brewing, radio on, light laughter about something on her phone, but her eyes didn't meet mine. When I kissed her cheek before leaving for work, she flinched. At the office, I couldn't focus. The image of her panic wouldn't leave me. I told myself I was imagining things. Maybe she'd gotten bad news. Maybe she'd been planning something for our anniversary. But deep down, I knew the difference between surprise and guilt. That night, I came home earlier than usual. Her car was in the driveway, lights on in the living room. Through the window, I saw her talking on the phone, her voice soft, playful, the kind of tone she hadn't used with me in months. When she noticed me pulling in, she jumped up and ended the call. Dinner was quiet. Too quiet. Every clink of the fork felt like a scream we weren't letting out. I finally asked, "Sarah, is something going on?" She looked up, startled again. "What do you mean?" "I mean, you've been distant. You look scared when I walk into a room." Did I do something? Her eyes watered instantly. "No, Daniel, you didn't. I'm stressed. Work's been awful." But I knew better. Sarah loved her job. She used to come home and tell me every small detail about her day. Lately, she avoided the topic completely. That night, I waited until she fell asleep. Then, against every rule of trust I'd ever believed in, I picked up her phone. My hands were shaking. I didn't want to find anything. I just needed peace. The screen unlocked with her usual code. Messages. One chat pinned to the top. "Alex." My stomach dropped. I opened it. The messages weren't graphic, but they didn't have to be. "I miss our talks. He almost caught me tonight. You make me feel alive again." I locked the phone and stared at the ceiling again, same as the night before. But this time, I wasn't confused. I was empty. The next morning, I made her coffee, kissed her cheek again, and smiled. She looked at me like she couldn't understand why I was being so calm. When she left for work, I sat in silence. No anger, no shouting, just the strange clarity that comes after pain has burned itself out. That evening, I came home early again. I'd already made my decision. I walked into the bedroom again, this time purposefully. My heart was steady, though my mind raced. She was sitting at the edge of the bed, phone in hand again. She looked up at me, eyes widening as if she had been caught committing a crime. The panic flashed across her face, the same look I'd seen before. But now it didn't frighten me. It only confirmed what I already knew. "Daniel," she began, voice quivering. I held up a hand. "Sarah, I saw your messages." Her face palled. "You how I know everything I need to know," I said softly. "I won't yell. I won't argue, but we need to be honest with each other." She looked away, biting her lips, silent. The weight of the moment filled the room like smoke. I realized then that honesty wasn't going to come from her. It would come from me. "I can't live like this anymore," I said, Not pretending everything's fine while it's not. Not wondering if you're thinking about someone else when you look at me. I'm done with that. Her hands shook, but she didn't deny it. Instead, she whispered, Daniel, I didn't want you to find out like this. I nodded. It's not about how I found out. It's about the fact that it's true. And it's been true in ways you couldn't admit or maybe couldn't face. That's okay. But I can't ignore it anymore. She looked at me, tears brimming. I never meant to hurt you. I know, I said, keeping my voice even. But intent doesn't change impact. I spent years believing in us, in the life we were building. And you've moved on emotionally somewhere I can't reach. That's not love anymore. It's survival for you. And I can't survive like that either. She tried to reach for my hand and I stepped back gently. Not out of anger, but out of clarity. This isn't about punishment. It's about me taking care of myself for the first time in a long time. The silence stretched heavy. But in that quiet, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Freedom. Not joy, not relief, just the sharp, clear awareness of my own life. My boundaries, my dignity. I'll move out, I continued. But I'll do it calmly. No arguments, no fights, just the facts. We'll handle the practical things, financials, living arrangements. Our lives won't explode. But I'm leaving because I need to exist without fear, without suspicion, without wondering if I'm enough. Because I am. Her shoulders slumped. Daniel. I shook my head softly. Not tonight. Tonight, I just want to step back and breathe. Tomorrow we'll talk about logistics. But tonight, I claim myself again. I've been giving, and I forgot what it felt like to simply be me. That stops now. She didn't respond. She couldn't. I left the bedroom quietly, packed my bag for the night, and drove to my friend Jack's place. He didn't ask questions. He didn't need to. He just offered the couch, the quiet, and the knowledge that I had made the right decision. The next week was a strange blend of routine and upheaval. Bills, shared accounts, the little details that felt monumental when two lives are splitting apart. I handled each calmly, rationally, without emotion clouding my judgment. Every call, every decision reminded me that I had control over myself and that no one could take that away from me. Sarah called once. She asked if I was angry. I laughed softly, the first real laugh in weeks. No, I said. I'm just finally awake. I realized that leaving didn't mean abandoning love entirely. It meant abandoning the illusion of love that had suffocated me. The love I had for her still existed, but it was no longer the love that defined my worth. My worth had always been mine. I had simply forgotten. Months passed. The awkwardness faded. Conversations became logistical, practical, and in the quiet of the night when I was alone, I felt a clarity that years of denial couldn't provide. I slept without the weight pressing down on my chest. I ate without anxiety gnawing at me,